What a nice round of applause to stand straight. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Marilyn Henner. I'm one of the facilitators at Inner Space. And Inner Space is located just down the street from here, and I'm assuming many of you have been there since you ended up here, but maybe there are a few who have not, so I'll just give a brief introduction. Inner Space has been here in Cambridge for the last 2.5 years, right on Mass Ave. But we were sponsored by an organization called the Learning Center for Peace, the Watertown Center, which is in Watertown. And we are part of a larger organization called the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization. We have centers all over the United States and in Canada. And our headquarters for North and South America here is in New York, in Great Neck, New York. We have our spiritual headquarters in India, and we practice and teach something called Raja Yoga Meditation, which this afternoon's talk will be based on. The talk being called Make Your Mind Your Best Friend, something that's very important for all of us today in this world, to understand how to think in a way that keeps us positive, keeps us happy, keeps us light. And so you'll learn more about our programs later, but right now I'd really like to take the opportunity to introduce today's speaker. It's our great pleasure to have Eric Larest with us. Eric is the coordinator of the Brahma Kumaris activities in Canada. He is based in Montreal, and he also works as a journalist and producer for CBC Canada. And he's been practicing this for, I think, like 30 years or something, right? A long time. He has a lot of practical experience of integrating his spiritual and meditation practice into daily life. And a lot of practical and fun stories, and I'm sure he will share many of them with us today. So it's my great pleasure to invite Eric Larest to join us on the stage. And just a brief reminder, I brought this up to remind myself and all of us to please turn off our cell phones so we can take a nice cell phone break for the afternoon. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and very, very warm welcome. Everyone is doing fine? Everyone is okay? How about your mind? That's the real question. Is your mind okay? Anyone lost their mind recently? It's a very wonderful topic, and I'm so happy to share some thoughts with you this afternoon. As Simon did mention, I came from Canada, Montreal. I came for the weekend with some friends, to meet some friends and enjoy the area here in Boston. As you mentioned, I've been working for more than 30 years or so with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation as journalist, producer, executive producer. Worked in a very stressful environment, what's supposed to be very stressful, but could be very entertaining if your mind is on your side. And if your mind is on the other side, it could be a very stressful job. I've been privileged to be with the Brahma Kumaris since a very young age, so I've been practicing meditation for the last 32 years and really enjoy this kind of amazing journey called Discovering the Mind. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure you must know where is your mind, right? Everybody knows where their mind is, or not sure? If I were to ask you where your heart, where your lungs, you know where they are, right? How about the mind? Have you ever located your mind? Have you ever noticed maybe your mind is off, went one way or another? No. What is the mind? We don't have that much time today, but it's a very big topic, and learning about the mind is really about learning who we are. The mind is one of the faculty of the self. It's one of the way the self can reveal itself to itself. If you don't have a mind, well, first you're in trouble, that's for sure. If you lost your mind somewhere, you're definitely in trouble. But if you don't know how to listen to your mind and how to understand the mind, then chances are that there is a certain level of confusion somewhere between the two ears. What I'd like to propose to you this afternoon is we'll do an afternoon in two parts. Now, the first part, I'd like to share with you what I understand to be the mind, like the mechanism, the technicality of the mind. We'll meditate together, and I'll show you how the mind can be really quite fascinating to play with. And then there will be a second part where I'll share with you what really fascinates me about the mind and how I think that this is the greatest unknown resource that we are not using properly on this earth, which is right here within ourselves, our minds. And then we'll meditate a few more minutes. And I'm so glad that we have Sam with us to accompany the meditations, because meditation is actually something very poetic, very romantic, very artistic, very gentle, very beautiful. And the best way to do it is with the arts. Having a rock and roll band here with heavy metal will be less conducive for a sweet kind of meditation. So I'm glad that you're playing what you're playing and not a big battery style orchestra. So wonderful Sam here with us this afternoon. So let me just share with you what I would understand to be the mind and see what you think of it. The mind is actually, in the Brahma Kumaris, we understand that we're all human beings, right? Everybody consider themselves a human being? Yeah. There might be some ghosts around here, but don't worry, that's fine. But human being means what? We're human and we're a being. So we're a being in a human body, is that correct? Now the human body is quite easy to understand. Now with science and, kind of good knives, I think we've found out what's within, and we've cut into a zillion of parts of the body, and we've kind of understood quite well how it works. The one part which remains quite a mystery is still the mind. And when we try to understand the mind, we go into another science, which is not biology, it's more like psychology, philosophy, these kind of ideas where we explore, but without certitude, without definite affirmation that this is the truth. We just speculate that this could be a possibility. So I'm not pretending to have any truth, but maybe just words to describe something that you can all witness within your own self. And what we understand the being to be is this invisible part of the self. The human part is the physical one, but the being is the one that is the most fascinating one. It's this life force that comes within the body and allows the body to function. And we have expressions such as, for example, when someone dies, we say, well, he left the body. Have you ever heard that? That's a strange expression. Oh, he left. Oh, who was that? Who left what? And where did he go? If somebody says, well, he just left the house, you understand what it means. But if somebody says, he left the body, oh, there was somebody in the body? Who was it? It's kind of a strange expression we use instinctively that really describes this kind of being, the being which is really habiting, which is possessing the body. And the body without a being is usually what we call a corpse. And we recommend people not to keep that too long, for dinner errands or weekend. It's not quite nice. It's much better to have a body with a being within. That's very nice for conversation and spending the weekend with. So the being within the body makes it a human being moving or talking, sharing, feeling, having personality, and having a life. And we're alive because we are a being in a body. Understanding what the being is, that's a big step, it's a journey. Meditation, as you will see today, is certainly a wonderful way to explore feeling or seeing or touching the being. Sport is a way to really enjoy your body, which is fun, and also it plays with the mind. But really it's about expression of the body. Meditation is the expression of the mind. So that being, according to our understanding in Rajoga, has three faculties: the mind, the intellect, and what we call the personality traits, which is like the DNA, the spiritual DNA, which constitute who you are as an individual with a very unique personality. It's your recording, your habits. So the mind basically is the faculty of the self, the faculty of the being, that has the ability to think and to feel. So whatever you listen to your head are thoughts. Those thoughts are in English, French, or any language, but they are thoughts. The language is only a translation of the wave, of the pulsation, of the energy coming out. And we've learned to express some ideas, some feelings into language. So we think in a language. And normally the way you think should be, at least you can understand what you're saying, right? You all understand your mind? I hope nobody has a mind that speaks another language than the one you know, because that's really, I don't know if it's treatable, but it's a problem, no doubt. If your mind starts speaking to you in Japanese and you don't know Japanese, I highly advise a translator somehow, somewhere. But I don't think it happens, right? Your mind speaks your own language. So mind expresses itself through thoughts and feelings. I like to see thoughts in French. A thought is feminine. And that's always said that a thought comes with a beautiful fragrance. And that's the feeling. If you think of your dog, normally you'll have a certain kind of feeling, and hopefully it's not the same as when you think of your husband and your wife. It will be a different feeling. So feeling comes automatically. And feeling generates thoughts. If you're scared, you have a certain type of thought. And so thought generates feeling, feeling generates thought. That just together, they're called the expression of the mind. The mind thinks, the mind feels. The intellect is a completely different faculty that allows the self to understand. If I tell you 2 plus 2 minus 5 plus 6 divided by 18 equals something, then yeah, you're right. How do we calculate? How do you know that Boston is here and New York is there and then China is over there? That's not just a thought. It has to be understanding, right? That understanding is another faculty. It's as if you had your brain, which is a physical organ, which is not the same at all as the intellect or the mind. Brain is like a computer, but someone has to operate the computer, otherwise it doesn't do anything. So the intellect is the operator, is the one that makes decisions, that understands, that memorizes. The intellect has a bank of ideas. If I tell you something and say, oh, I remember when I was 10 years old, something happened. Who remembers? We would say that's the intellect. And then the personality traits, they are your, as we say, DNA, or it's your habits, your tendencies. Some have the habit, for example, of, I don't know, taking a long time in the bathroom in the morning, right? That's a habit, that's a sanskara, that's a tendency, personality trait. Some have habit of not going to the bathroom in the morning. That's another tendency, and that's the way we are. Some have habits of being very meticulous about everything. And the way they put the food in their plate is very meticulous, the way they put their clothes is very meticulous, the way they do everything will be very precise. Others are artists. It goes all over, and, things are here and there, and that's their style. Understand? So, habits, tendencies, personality traits. Some have the tendency of exaggerating the truth. They just make it bigger than normal. That's a tendency. Others are very shy. That's a tendency. They don't like to speak in public. They don't like to confront others. They're very reserved. That's a tendency. These are just habits. They are personality traits. So the mechanism of the being is that if you pay attention, you'll find that there's nothing else but those 3 faculties in yourself. Whatever you can recognize in you, emotion, feelings, memories, whatever, willpower, any idea that you can think of within you which is not physical, think of it. And it's either your mind, your intellect, or your personality traits. And those 3 faculties are what we call the being. The being is a very subtle, non-physical energy expressing itself in the body through the mind, intellect, sanskaras, which we call the Hindi word sanskaras, or personality traits, tendencies. And the beauty of the being is that it needs a body to reveal itself. If you don't have a body, it might be called a ghost or a spirit hanging around somewhere, but not very easy to communicate with others. If you do try, I've never tried, I've never been a ghost, but I remember at least. But I know ghosts, it's complicated when they want to communicate with others, right? So we won't go into that. That's maybe another afternoon when you're really bored and you want to hear about it. we can talk about it. So, the being needs the body and reveals itself through the body. The mind is one part of it. It's a beautiful screen, if you want, on which we start to see thoughts appear, feelings emerging. And what we're going to try to experience in a meditation in a few minutes is how I can hear my mind, how I can direct my mind, and how can I really start to enjoy my mind. Because the problem we have most of the time is that the mind creates millions of thoughts, thousands of thoughts, constantly. And how many thoughts have you approved when they come out? You know how many thoughts you approved? Or they just pass by and before you, oh, okay, whatever, yeah, what's next? And then before you know, there's high traffic of thoughts and you have no say, you know. And sometimes really bad thoughts come in and say, whoops, that was bad. And I'm not speaking it out so nobody knows, it's fine, it's just me. Does it happen to you? Oh, you never had negative thoughts, right? Positive, beautiful thoughts. No, that's kind of, I used to like to see the mind as a popcorn machine. And the popcorn machine just pops up corn all the time, and the popcorn pops up all the time. And sometimes it's completely out of control, and it really smells too strong. And you know you're boiling something in your head, and that's not going right. The thoughts are actually what we consider the most powerful energy in the world. How you came here tonight, to this afternoon. You had a thought. I hope that you didn't come here without thinking about it and your body drove you, no? Anybody came like this? Like, well, what am I doing here? My body brought me here. I didn't have a say on it, no. You had a thought. You planned it. You knew the time. You made arrangements to come here. How did we go to the moon? How did we create this whole world? Everything started in the mind. If you're going to succeed in life for something, before success happens in 10 years or 100 years from now, it has to start with a thought. And then not one thought, but 2 thoughts, 3, 10, 100 thoughts. That kind of thinking process is natural. Some are gifted. Some people are gifted. The mind produces thoughts in a way which is incredibly brilliant. They don't have much effort to make. Others, which is actually most of us usually, have to work a little hard to operate this whole machine, and they lose control over it. And from time to time, the mind just goes a little bit everywhere, and it's a little, I don't know, okay, I'm confused, I don't know what to do, I don't know, maybe. And someone says, yeah, good, you should do that. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Mind is confused. You know, cannot just focus, cannot concentrate. The main complaint we get from people who try to meditate, I would love to meditate, I can't concentrate. Why we can't concentrate? We can't control the mind. The mind is all over the place, and we lose control of the mind. So, the power of the thought is such that one thought, if it's a powerful thought, can open the door to amazing things. Powerful thoughts will give you powerful feelings, right? A powerful thought will give you that powerful feeling. The feeling will give you strength. And you say, I don't know, it's my guts. I believe in it. So it becomes more than a thought and a feeling. It becomes almost a reality. And you move it and you put it into action. And that action makes you feel like, wow, I did it. I can do it again. And so there's a pattern that happens within the being, where from the mind, we feed the intellect, and the mind creates thoughts. The intellect understands, gets clarity. If I feed my intellect with negative thoughts, after a while my intellect is lost. If my intellect gets clarity, then my intellect makes the right decision. Then we perform actions that are quite good. We feel good about it. We say the right things. We look at the right thing. We listen the right way. We respond the right way. And those actions will allow us to think properly. So it's a very snapshot, mechanical description of the mind. Do you all kind of follow? Is that okay? Are you listening to your mind? You're listening to me, right? Okay, that's good. Because if you listen to your mind, you might miss a few ideas. And the mind has a tendency to be quite mischievous. And I know sometimes people listen to me, yes, yes, yes. Say, you listening to me? Yes, yes, yes. No, you're not, right? And I know my mind is listening to many other things. I'm sure most of you, if you catch your mind right now, you must have thought at least of two other things. Your car, and your next dinner tonight, or I forgot to call this one. Your mind is amazing. Can listen, do other things. So what I'm going to propose to you is, before I go further into the idea of today, which is transforming the mind into my best friend, I'd like to introduce this concept of friendship with the mind in a form of meditation with a commentary. So I know that the beauty of you being here today is that you sacrifice the first days of spring, to come into closed door and listen to some kind of French, Canadian, I don't know, who escaped from Canada and iceberg, field up there, and probably came down south to enjoy spring in Boston, which exactly is what I did. And I appreciate you sacrifice your afternoon a little bit to come here. But I'm sure you came here for a reason. And as much as the spring must be beautiful outside, I'm sure that deep within you, what you're looking for is a spring within you, which is as beautiful as the spring outside. And that's why we're here this afternoon. Am I correct? And I think that for you, the idea, as for me it is for many years, the idea of being friends with your mind is kind of appealing, isn't it? It's much better than making your mind your worst enemy. Would you like that? Will there be more people here today who think with a title like this, or less? Make your mind your worst enemy. We prefer the mind to be our friends. So what I'm going to propose to you, we're going to invite Stan again to take us into this musical space. And I highly invite you to keep your eyes open. One, so that you don't fall asleep within 2 seconds, which will be very helpful. And two, because meditation doesn't need to have the eyes closed. Meditation is a natural state of mind. Some meditation do, make you close your eyes, focus, and then you kind of escape for a while, and feel very relaxed. And when you open your eyes, you go back to the real world. But to avoid that, we have beautiful flowers. We have an amazing room here. Don't need to stare at me. You can stare at flowers. I'm much more spring-like, unless you like my shirt, which is specifically for today is the spring. But you can enjoy the flowers. Focus on the flowers. Just feel relaxed. Keep your eyes open so that you feel totally natural. It's not like we want to do something unnatural. We're just going to keep our mind flowing in a certain direction. And we're going to try to guide our minds. And I'm going to share some thoughts with you, but I'm going to speak slowly, which will give you time to think in between. And try to keep your mind in the same topic as what I'm sharing. If I say, my mind becomes a field of flowers, take time to think. Okay, I like flowers. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's see flowers. My mind becomes great. Yeah, I want my mind to be great. My mind is great. So you echo some thoughts, and you pay attention to your thoughts, so you can hear every thought one by one. Is that okay? And the one who succeeds will have maybe extra little, I don't know, some gift at the end. Can measure the strength of your minds. So, Stan will listen to you a few seconds, and then I'll start sharing a few thoughts with you.